I just love watching animals. About to make the summit. Hey everybody, I am here near Tuolumne Meadows in Yosemite National Park. I'm going to do a short hike. Behind me is Pothole Dome, so there's a Pothole Dome hike that goes around the granite dome there. So we're going to do that. Shouldn't be too long, and I'll try to get some footage along the way. One other thing, I'm glad I packed this light packable coat. It was bright and sunny all day, and then just started raining. So it's a good reminder that the weather can change pretty quickly here in the mountains. So if you have a coat like this, it's probably good to bring it even in the summer. So it's June now, so there wasn't rain forecasted, but it can come up. So keep that in mind. Hey everybody, so a couple of thoughts I can share as we're walking along the trail here. So this part of Yosemite is much less crowded than Yosemite Valley. Yosemite Valley, of course, is the famous part where you can see Half Dome from the valley, and there's Bridalveil Falls, and we have some videos on that area as well. But up here in Tuolumne Meadows on Tioga Road, there's a lot of really cool places. A lot less crowded, so if you're trying to get away from the crowds and do some hiking and explore, this might be the area to check out for you. So you can see it's a Saturday afternoon in June. As I mentioned, it did start to rain a little bit, so that could have something to do with it. But aren't that many people here. I've been pleasantly surprised by the crowds today. So it's a little gray now, but it was bright and sunny earlier. So something to keep in mind. So on this trip, I actually remembered to bring bug spray, and I'm really glad I did, because there's lots of bugs here in this area of the park. I think just because it's a meadow and there's lots of water, and so keep that in mind. The bug spray seemed to work a little bit, I guess. I don't know. There's still bugs, but just something to bear in mind if you're coming up here. It didn't seem like there were quite as many bugs in some of the other areas of the park, but keep the bug spray on you so you have it. So if you do this hike, there is a trail down to the side of the dome here. I keep finding myself wanting to walk actually just on the granite dome because it's a little easier, but we'll follow the trail on the way out. Maybe walk across the dome on the way back. So since there's a potential for rain and I'm gonna be walking, I have my Panasonic Lumix camera in my backpack, but I figured I wanted to pack it away in case it does start raining. So I'm filming now on the Osmo Pocket 3. So that's why it makes it easy to turn the camera around and do these vlogging type videos. So it's a little hard to tell where the trail actually is. I realized I was on an area that apparently is closed. So I guess the trail, when you get close to the dome, I guess it does go up onto the dome itself a little bit and then cut back down. And I guess they want you to stay out of these trees in here because they have restoration going on. So just keep that in mind. Trail becomes a little more clear here. So it's the early evening, so that's a good time to see wildlife. Early mornings and evening is good, typically for wildlife. So we are looking, I think, at a herd of mule deer over there. Like I said, I'm only on the Osmo Pocket now, so can't zoom in too well, but maybe we'll try to get some good shots of them with the zoom lens on the way back. So that's a pretty cool view of Cathedral Peak. There's a really popular hike from right around here that goes to, I think there's an upper Cathedral Lake and a lower Cathedral Lake. So those are really popular around here if you have several hours. I think it's probably like a 10 or 12 mile round trip hike, but you've got some really cool views of the mountain from this trail here. So even in June, there's still a little bit of snow on the ground over there. So not a lot. Not great skiing conditions, but it's still there. So Tuolumne Meadows is at about 8,500 feet in elevation. So keep that in mind if you either haven't been at high elevation or if it bothers you. You know, may want to buy an oxygen, you know, one of those portable oxygen containers and keep it with you and make sure to stay hydrated. I realized when I was climbing up one of the side of one of the other domes earlier, I started, my breath started to get short, and it took me a second to recall that we were at an elevation that high. So it's not bad. This trail especially doesn't have much elevation change, so it shouldn't be too rough, but just something to be mindful of. Watch out for the icy patch. So it seems that we have two paths diverging in a wood here. I am going to take the one on the left. Believe when I looked at the map, the one that I want to be on went closer to the dome over here. So just be mindful. I use the Gaia GPS app, and you can download the maps for offline use. So I have my phone, and I have a paper map in the car too. But keep that in mind because there is not much cell service. Certainly in this part of Yosemite. It's a little better in Yosemite Valley, but you got to plan accordingly. So after you go through the trees for a while, the trail enters this area with all these granite boulders. So it looks pretty cool. Let's explore. It looks like there's a couple different paths through here. For some of these, I can't tell whether it's the trail or just where the water drains down through, but either way, it's going to the same direction. So I actually came back to where I made that silly Robert Frost joke about two paths diverging in a wood. I ended up taking the wrong one. So the official Pothole Dome path is actually the one that goes off to the right over there. So turn around so you can see it. So previously I went left, and that was incorrect. So now we are going to go to the right and finish the official trail. I think it's a good reminder that it is kind of easy to get turned around and on the wrong path, especially if you're in an area like this where there's a bunch of trees and paths going in different directions and trees down over the trail. So generally, you know, you should try to stay on the path, right? But I would say more than that, it's probably good to just have an actual, you know, understanding of where you are geographically and not just rely on only being on the path. So, of course, different GPS apps and stuff will help with that, but you know, that'll help you get around a little bit better if you do end up straying a little bit off the designated trail. All right, so I strayed off the path again, but this time I did it purposely to come down to the river. So the Tuolumne River gets pretty wide over here. I didn't realize, and there's lots of ducks, and I can see some mule deer grazing off in the distance. There's actually some a little closer over here. Let me see if I can kind of creep through here so we don't disturb them too much. All right, you can probably see them running there off in the distance. I don't want to mess with them too much. I've already gotten lots of videos and stuff of mule deer, so we'll just leave them alone and let them finish their dinner. All right, I found a spot here along the river that I can kind of be out of the way. There's a couple mule deer off in the distance, and they saw me but didn't look too bothered. So I'm going to set up, get my other camera out. I don't have the big tripod, so we're probably not going to get some great stable video, but try to at least get a couple pictures of these two, because it's a pretty shot. They're just standing there along the side of the river. All right, so they are still there. Fortunately, did not make too much noise, it seems. So, like I mentioned, I don't have the tripod, so I'm going to try to sit down and see if I can get at least a couple pictures, but try to keep it stable enough to get some video. There they are. I just love watching animals. All right, I'm going to see if I can maybe lean up against this tree to try to get myself a little more stable. I've got this branch right in the way. There's also some ducks over there. It's kind of cool. Pan over to the right. Let's see if we can still see the deer. There they are. Unfortunately, I'm looking right through that tree branch. Cool. Well, we got some better pictures of, or better videos of mule deer throughout the day, but figured it might be cool to show you guys those ones. In case anybody's curious, I have a Panasonic Lumix G9 Mark II and a Lumix telephoto lens here. So that is what I have been capturing all of the wildlife videos and pictures on. All right, we are back on the trail. We're probably getting pretty close to the end, where we will decide to either go back along the river and look for animals, or go up over Pothole Dome and still look for animals, but maybe not have as much of a chance of seeing them. So I feel like this is something I probably should have known or maybe realized before I started hiking, but I actually started to hear some rapids or a waterfall up here. So that should be pretty cool, depending on what that is. So stay tuned. We'll be there in a minute or so. All right, so it looks like we've got a little bit of a waterfall or something up here. We got to climb up on this rock, I think, to really see it, but we will do that and take a look in a second. All right, so this was super cool. This would be a good reason to stay on the marked trail. Usually they lead to something pretty cool. So I'm really glad I kept going and got to see the waterfall, and the river looks really high. I overheard some people saying that it was especially high. So yeah, really cool to see. This is a really great hike. Just for a quick, I don't even, it's like a mile or something. I'll confirm. Really accessible. And I passed 4 people, maybe. So check it out. So this area around this waterfall is really cool. I mean, there's lots of flat spots where if you were willing to carry in some food and stuff for a picnic, you could hang out, bring a blanket. There's lots of stuff to explore in Yosemite, but you know, I think it's important to remember to slow down and really enjoy the things that you are going to see. I'm lucky because I live here in Northern California, so I can come back, and I understand that if you fly across the country to come here, you want to see the biggest, most iconic things, and that certainly makes sense. But there's lots of cool hidden gems as well. Just wanted to change up my lens on here so I can get some wider shots of the river. I can't use the telephoto lens that we were using for the mule deer to do that. I think I mentioned the bug spray before, but I'm really glad I bought it. There's lots of, I don't know if they're mosquitoes or flies or what, but they're zooming around my head. They're kind of annoying. I put a bunch of bug spray on my hat, so maybe it worked. So the decision now is how we get back. Option 1 is we go back the same way we came along the river. Option 2 is we go up over Pothole Dome. I was a little concerned about doing that at first because I thought it was going to be wet, because I thought it was going to rain, but it hasn't rained, so I think we're probably okay to do that. So we'll give that a shot. If it gets too treacherous or something, we'll come down and go back the way we came. All right, so I looked at the topo map on the Gaia GPS app, and it looks like we're at about 8,600 feet right now. So that's where the river is, more or less. And the top of the dome, which I don't know if we're looking at the top right now, but this is the back of it. The top is like 8,766 feet or something like that, right? So that means we got about 160 feet, 170 feet of elevation to climb, and then it's pretty steep on the other side. I'll pull up the the topo map in the video so you guys can see it, what I'm looking at. But basically with a topo map, you know, if you follow a contour line, everything on that same line is the same elevation. And then when you go up to the next line, it's the next increment. I think the increments usually go up by 40 feet or something like that. So if you have a bunch of lines really close together, that means the elevation is increasing really rapidly, right? So something is steep. If the lines are further apart, then that means that it's still increasing, but at a more gradual pace. So it's relatively gradual on the backside here, and then gets a little steep on the other side. So we'll have to figure out how to get down from there. So, all right, let's do it. I don't know if there's any kind of official route or anything up over this, but basically, I don't know, I'm just being careful and working my way up. Cool thing about doing this is that hopefully we get a cool view of the waterfall from above. There it is. Let's go up to the right a little more and see if we can get a better view of it. All right, this is pretty cool. You can see the river goes down there. And then down on that flat area is where I just came from. All right, so I just climbed up on the tallest thing I could find and I'm looking around. So you can see it looks like we've got some rain over there in the distance. And then the direction we're headed is back toward Cathedral Peak. You can see the pointy one over there. The car is on the other side of the meadow, but well before Cathedral Peak. All right, so off in the distance there is Pothole Dome. It's, I think, right there. So that's where we are headed, and that will take us back to the car. So came down off that little hill dome thing that I was just on top of, and now I'm on a path here. I think this is probably when I made the wrong turn earlier and went on the wrong trail. I think this is probably that trail. So again, if you have GPS and a map, you can usually just kind of find your way around. You're fine. So, all right, somewhere here soon, we're gonna have to veer off to the right to go up onto Pothole Dome. All right, so I looked at the map and this seems like a reasonable place to start heading up. So we'll walk up here and get to the top. Like I said, it should be, I don't know, 160 feet in elevation or something. It's not too bad. So when we get up there, we'll scope out how we want to get down to the car. All right, making my way up. Starting to get a little steeper, so I'm starting to breathe a little heavier, but that's good. Got to get a little bit of a workout in today. Seems like the type of place we should be able to see a marmot. Last time I was here, I saw a marmot just along the road, so I would like to think that there's one hanging out here that we can get a couple pictures and videos of. So keep a lookout. I love when I run across these wildflowers growing out of the granite. Seems like a challenging place to live, but it's pretty cool. Even though we're walking through mostly rocks and dirt, if you look down, there's lots of flowers and plants and stuff alive. Right, we're making good progress. I was just looking at the map, and I know we want to be to the right of Cathedral Peak, so you can see Cathedral Peak off in the distance. So I need to stay a little bit more to the right. All this granite out in front of us. I believe this is Pothole Dome. I'll check the map again in a second just to make sure we're going to the top of the right spot, but I think it's up there ahead. All right, there it is up ahead of us, that mound you can see behind the closest pine trees. So let's make the summit. All right, here we go. Final stretch. Got my crampons on and about to make the summit. All right, we're getting close now. Quite a view from up here, even with the cloudy, drizzly weather. All right, here we are on the summit of Pothole Dome with Tuolumne Meadows in the background. I don't think there's ever been another human that's made this summit, so good for us. All right, so my game plan to get back to the car is to head down, straight down that way. It looks like it's fairly gradual, especially since it's starting to drizzle a little bit. I don't want to be on anything steep on this rock. So I think straight ahead puts us down in the trees there shortly, back on the path, and we should be good to go from there. All right, so safely made it down from Pothole Dome. It's nice. I think the Park Service rolls these boulders out here so you can sit and take a break before you head back to the car. So, all right. Hope everybody enjoyed the video. I hope it was useful. If you found it useful, please like and leave a comment, subscribe. It really helps us. We're trying to grow this channel to help everyday people get outside, explore the outdoors, and really take advantage of everything that all of our national parks and state parks have to offer. So thanks for watching. Didn't see a marmot on the way back, but there's always tomorrow. All right, bye guys.